If I could just make one quick point about Piers Morgan, because I know I accidentally ruined the last segment that you tried to make me do on Piers Morgan. but one of the things that pisses me off about Piers Morgan is, okay, so he has all these guys on, and yes, to his credit, he does host debates and brings, people on with different sides, and they say their piece, and that's great. But like, he asks a question like that to Gabor Mate. He gets this brilliant, thoughtful, clear, very sober-minded answer. But then he never seems to incorporate the knowledge gained from one interview into the next interview. He'll just start with the next guy. So do you condemn Hamas? Why not condemn Hamas? Like, usually, like, Jimmy, when you interview these guys, all of these COVID doctors, right, you would absorb the knowledge and then you would use that knowledge and bring that to the next interview, to the next guest, right? To sort of deepen your understanding, deepen the audience's understanding. Every interview that Piers Morgan does seems to be this reset where he just defaults to the same bullshit talking points that person after person has to just knock down.
That is a good point. Yeah.
He's putting on a show.
Yes.
He's not trying to have a debate. He's trying to put on a show.
So
he's a wrestler.
He knows how to get ratings, and that's a good way to, and I mean, everybody wants ratings, so you can't disparage someone for doing that. I cover the topics I cover. I mean, because people are interested in them, right? And but I also cover topics that people aren't interested in, like Julian Assange. I cover it all the time,
right?
And I know it's going to be. I have to think of an extra clever headline to get people to click on that video, but I'm going to cover it anyway because I think it's important. So I try to give tip of the hat to Piers Morgan. I mean, it is better than. I mean, MSNBC just fired Mehdi Hassan.
Oh yeah, no, he's better. No, of course, no, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely.
And not that I'm a fan of Mehdi Hassan at all, because he's a willing tool of empire. But to the point where he won't even say shit about being fired. That's what a company man Mehdi Hassan is. He didn't say anything about him being taken off the air after October 7th, and he won't say anything about being taking his whole show away now because he's pro-Palestine. He's not going to say anything about it because Mehdi Hassan is a company man and he knows where his bread is buttered and he's looking for his next network corporate news job. That's what he's doing. Go ahead, Russ.
We took a look at he did an interview. I forget the guy's name, but he did an interview. Regev, I think his name might be. He did an interview with an Israeli spokesperson on November 16th that is almost heartbreaking in how masterful it is. Take everything that you hate about Mehdi Hassan and use it for good. And that's what that interview was. He just completely took apart this Israeli spokesperson. You'd say, well, there you go. There you go. Why don't you just do that all the time? That's what's very strange about this. I can't imagine Hassan didn't understand what the consequences would be for doing what he did. So why did he do it? Because as you say, he is such a company man. What was that? The inch of his soul he couldn't sell. What was that?
Maybe he thought. I think that's it. Maybe he thought the tide would turn, and because all the lip service they paid to respecting brown people in the professional managerial class and at places like MSNBC and corporate news, that he thought he might be a little protected in doing that, and he was wrong. And he got his mind right now, and now he's not saying shit about it. I haven't seen that interview. I didn't know that he actually did good work.
I'll send it over to you. It's you look at this and you say, God, if only this was what he did all the time, he would be one of the most valuable journalists on earth.
So Mehdi does have skills. It's just he almost 95% of the time uses them for evil and nefarious purposes.
That's it.
Like I said, I think the exact same thing on our morning show. I think I put it almost the exact same way. Yeah, he has skills. He has talent. He just doesn't use them for good 95% of the time.
I mean, look at his interview with Matt Taibbi. Yep. That's an example of him using...
That's what I kept thinking of.
Using his skills for evil, and Matt Taibbi, being too much of a knucklehead to be able to defend himself or know that was coming. And what did you think? What the hell did he think was going to happen to him when he went on with Mehdi Hassan on MSNBC? Do you think you're going to get a fair interview from a guy who can't defend? He couldn't defend himself out of a paper bag in the first fucking place. I mean, the guy is not a good talker. I mean, that is putting it mildly. His gift is writing for sure. talking. He's the most mealy-mouthed, soft-spoken. Look at him on Bill Maher. It's always not as much fun as it should be. I'm being very
no. He's
nice.
not a brawler. He's very smart, and I think he's really great at what he does. But he's not. He doesn't get in the ring. He's not a brawler. When he doesn't throw a punch back. Like he was far too nice in that interview. Incredible. Yeah,
I think he's often surprised, which I mean it's kind of amazing given the kind of things he covers. I think he's often surprised by what scum these people are. I mean, I think that when they did the debate up in Canada, Douglas Murray was really the one who went in and shivved
the monk
the New
debate.
The monk debate, shivved the New York Times people. Taibbi, I think he wants to have a reasonable discussion, and he's just not scum. He just doesn't want to go in on these people like that.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy who walks out of a whorehouse going, I just didn't feel loved. Anyway, I think that's an old Warren Thomas joke.
I always feel loved.
You
can't go to the cheap ones. The cheap ones don't give you that.
We're doing live comedy shows in Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Michigan, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, and Boston. Plus, we're going to put a date in Edmonton, Canada, plus Vancouver. See ya. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.